Okay, so I'm calling this talk Vacation Dharma. And this is an understanding that came to me on vacation, and I don't know that you will all agree with it, but it became something that I've been circling for a while. And I really see that I don't believe the Buddhist Dharma is in everything. I think it emerges. It emerges when I see it, when others see it. And it's really not an absolute that exists, that if you just try hard enough to find it, you'll find it there. I just believe there's so many different types of Dharma, and that the Buddha Dharma, the teachings that we study, I think they are much more emergent from our interactions. So I'm going to use the story, and this is what came to me when I felt like I couldn't find the Dharma on my vacation. I felt like it wasn't there. Like, where is it? And I'm going to use the parable of the Buddha's great departure. So this is the parable of him leaving home. Basically leaving home to find a deeper meaning in life and to understand the causes and conditions of suffering, of dukkha. And he came from a home, as the parable goes, his privilege had sheltered him. And until he saw these four sights of old age, sickness, and death, and a sage, a wandering ascetic, he basically felt like he was being sheltered from seeing that. And he made a radical decision to leave his home. But it also hurt many people. It hurt his family members. And I had the thought he couldn't find the Dharma in his home, in his life. And he was being trained in that life for a position of superiority, for a position of privilege. And that others that were working with him, that were serving him, were trained that way too. There was no way they could kind of break that dynamic. And I often have wondered, how could he leave a wife and a child behind? How could he have done something that I think is quite severe harm? So the personal story, the way I'm going to relate to it is because I was on a 10-day cruise of the Italian Riviera. I wouldn't have chosen a cruise because of the climate footprint, but it was basically a floating palace. And I felt like I entered into the world of every need and desire was meant to be fulfilled. There was even a complaints department, right? Because, of course, we can't satisfy everybody all the time, but they were going to try. And the intention was that the client is queen or king. And at first it was lovely. We really enjoyed it. There were people being paid to be kind. And I really liked that kindness. And I find that I need that kindness as I age more. But after a while, I noticed a kind of superficiality in it, especially for an extended period of time. It was something I grew uncomfortable with. I couldn't kind of stand it even. So I turned my attention, I did a little research project, and I don't know if you do this on vacations, but I started to say, I'm going to question the staff. And I just started to talk with every person that served us. I asked them where they were from. I wanted to know a little bit more about their lives. I was really curious, like how long were they at sea? What were their families dealing with? And I wanted to hear something real. I was really starving for it. Even I was open to hearing some of the pain or dukkha of their life. And I really became aware of my projections there, like that I'm projecting that, that they're in a painful situation. Because for many of them, they told me this was a dream job. They came from countries that were devastated with war and violence, and this was a way for them to support their families. But I was still waiting for a little bit more of an authentic conversation to open up. So this is where I connected back to the Buddha's leaving home, is that it came to my mind from another angle that his palace life was like this cruise, and it was set up to shield him from dukkha, and that he had to leave in order to see more clearly, and that he couldn't have broken through that dynamic. There was no way I was going to be able to have a more honest, authentic conversation with the staff. They were paid to serve me. They were invested in that, and there was no power that I could do to make that different. And so I had more compassion for the Buddha, who I have had a slight, resentment for, like, how could he do that again? But because I relate to this in leaving my own home, I wasn't able to find the Dharma that I needed. I had to go seeking it into other spiritual communities, other homes. So this dynamic for me in my thought, thinking about it and in my reflection, is that the desire for privilege, for comfort, for superiority, for being special, for really, holding that position, it's so human. And I really did see that many people were kind and friendly, and there were good things that were going on in that Dharma. It just wasn't my Dharma. And there was friendliness, goodwill, positivity. People were helpful to each other, even though they weren't looking at dukkha or weren't looking at conditionality or weren't looking at other teachings that I so value. But I missed those teachings. I missed having the deeper conversations, the honest conversations and shared awareness. So it was in 2017 that I wrote, "The Dharma is a collaboration. It emerges in the conversations between us." And I can see, oh yeah, I've been circling this for a while. And this trip really helped me deepen my understanding of that's the way the Dharma is going for me. That's the way I'm understanding it. And there was something really satisfying, that from going into a place where I couldn't find the Dharma, that basically I could see it on reflection. And I could see it when I thought back on the teachings. And I could see it, after I got home and recovered from being sick a little bit. Now, I've been talking with my hands. I went to the Italian Riviera, and I'm still saying si, ciao, ciao, a lot of that kind of stuff, which you pick up. But it was a beautiful vacation, and I really needed it in many ways, to be away from the world that I live in. That's so much a part of me. It's the way I think. It's the way I feel. It's the way I experience others. And it was really good to be in a different experiencing place, so that I could actually feel the humility of other people are going to choose different dharmas. Other things are going to be important for them. They're going to find different understandings of the world. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to end here. I wasn't even going to record this because I just wanted to muse a little bit about being back and seeing your faces and all the things that have gone on in the 2 weeks that I've been away. So it's really nice to be here. And